Okay, back for the scrapbook here. Um, hmm. Allied force fighting for Kane reports airborne troops in successful action on continent. Churchill speaks confidently. Prime Minister Churchill announced today that Allied airborne troops had captured several strategic bridges in France before they could be blown up, and that there is even fighting proceeding in the town of Caen. Airborne troops are well established, and the fellows up are proceeding with very much less loss than we expected, Churchill reported in a second statement of the day to the House of Commons. Allied troops had penetrated in some cases several miles inland after effective landings on the coast on a broad front, he said. Many dangers behind. The Prime Minister said he had visited the various centers where latest information was received and could state that this operation is proceeding in a thoroughly satisfactory manner. Many dangers and difficulties which appeared at this time last night extremely Many dangers and difficulties which appeared at this time last night extremely formidable are behind us, the war leader reported. Passage of the sea has been made with far less loss than we apprehended. The resistance of batteries has been greatly weakened by bombing by the Air Force, and the superior bombardment of our ships quickly reduced their power to dimensions which did not affect the problem. Okay. Bush-Chirac worked to smooth relations, but differences remain. I'll show this photo. French President Jacques Chirac shakes hands with U.S. President George W. Bush as he greets him at the Elysee Palace before their meeting and dinner Saturday in Paris. Okay, I don't need to read that one. Alright, here's some NFL stuff. So, things are just randomly in here. So, definitely going in a different direction now with the sports. It says Packers cornerback Craig Newsome deflects a pass intended for Chargers receiver Andre Coleman during the first quarter of Sunday's game at Lambeau Field. So there's this big photo here. Okay, moving on. Goal of Packers defense, domination. So now we're on to boxing. Mismatch. WBC champion Mike Tyson Wright throws a punch at WBA champ Bruce Seldon in the first and only round of their WBA only round of their WBA title bout Saturday night. Now it's Holyfield's turn. So here's a quote. Mike Tyson to Evander Holyfield after Tyson defeated Bruce Seldon on Saturday night. So this is the quote. "You've got nothing coming to you. I'm going to have a good time in this fight." I guess I don't really need to read that. Mike Tyson was pretty famous. I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, he was pretty famous when I was growing up, like back in the 80s and probably into the 90s too. Um, I didn't really get too much into boxing, but I was well aware of him because he was famous, uh, especially through because I played a lot of video games when I was a kid back in the 80s and beyond, 90s. But yeah, back in the 80s, just remembering there was a video game featuring Mike Tyson for Nintendo called Punch Out, I believe. So I guess that's how I got exposed to Mike Tyson. And then just remembering how I pretty sure it was with Holyfield. Like Mike Tyson had a fight with Holyfield, where Mike Tyson, I guess he was frustrated with how the boxing match was going, and Mike Tyson bit part of the ear off of Holyfield. So that was kind of a shocking thing to see someone bite part of somebody's ear off. Okay. Hussein launches offensive. Iraq. Leader attacks northern city under protection of U.S. forces. I guess I don't need to read that. There's this other kind of morbid thing here. Um, woman weds slain fiance. This is in Marseille, France. Um, Death couldn't cancel Patricia Montanez's wedding plans. On Saturday, she married the man of her dreams 2.5 years after his slaying. Montanez, 36, became Mrs. Cloudy Darcy in a ceremony in this southern Mediterranean city, ending a long legal battle with a little help from the president. Every minute I think about Cloudy, he never leaves me, she said after the wedding. Montanez and Darcy, a police officer, were engaged to be married when an assailant shot and killed him in a gritty Marseille neighborhood on February 24, 1994. They had an 8-year-old son. Last September, President Jacques Chirac issued a decree allowing the unusual wedding, and a posthumous ceremony was planned for February 23rd, the eve of the second anniversary of Darcy's death. City officials gave Montanez a marriage certificate, and all the plans were made, right down to the cake. But a few days before, the parents of the dead groom had second thoughts and launched a fierce legal fight to call the whole thing off. In March, a court ruled in favor of Darcy's parents. It said 2 prenuptial agreements were the only evidence of his desire to marry Montanez, and they had expired nearly a year before his death. Little detective work by Montanez's own lawyer led to a doctor who testified that he had written the wrong date on the documents, meaning they were still valid when Darcy was killed. An appeals court overturned the lower tribunal's ruling, and the wedding was back on. On Saturday, dozens of uniformed police officers lined the street outside the mayor's office to salute the new bride. About 100 guests watched, some dabbing at their eyes, as Mayor Guy Hermier presided over the brief ceremony. Montanez wore a wedding dress and stood stoically before the mayor. At her side, where Darcy would have stood, there was just an empty chair. It was very, very touching, Hermier said afterward. A union shouldn't stop with the death of one partner. So that's a little strange. Okay. Oh, here's something about Brett Favre, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers at one time. Okay, it says quarterback Brett Favre on the Packers starting a 3-game road swing, the first of 2 such stretches this season. It's part of playing this game. Probably somebody in the NFL doesn't want us to win the Super Bowl. That's why we have the toughest schedule. Sherry O'Terry. She was pretty funny. Wonder whatever happened to Sherry O'Terry. She was pretty and funny. Here's a quote by Sherry O'Terry. I hate to sound boring, but I'm having a ball. The life of Saturday night. Sherry O'Terry leaps to the head of NBC show's freshman class. I guess I'll skip that one. Hingis defeats Martinez. So, Martina. Yeah, they both have the same first name, Martina Hingis and Martina. Or wait, Martinez? Oh, Martinez is somebody. Okay. Martina Hingis and Martina Navratilova. Okay, they have the same first name. Martinez is somebody else. Oh, Conchita Martinez. Anyway, okay, so Martina Hingis. So she was a tennis player I was sort of obsessed with. I just found her very attractive. I didn't really follow tennis too much, but I just thought, wow, that Martina Hingis, she sure is pretty. So I just have a headline from for Martina Hingis here that I don't need to read. Okay. Packers fans can savor Monday night. Leroy Butler, Craig Newsome, and Reggie White shut down San Diego running back Leonard Russell during the third quarter. Packers on roll. Reggie White of the Green Bay Packers gets up after sacking Philadelphia quarterback Rodney Peete for a safety in the fourth quarter of Monday's NFL game in Green Bay. White is a leader of the Packers defense, which has produced 10 turnovers and 1 safety in the team's 2-0 start. A cakewalk for the Packers? Here's a photo of Barry Sanders. Key's high-octane Lion offense. And then here's Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy. Bye-bye, Vikes. Hello, challenge. So that must have been when he went from being assistant coach with the Vikings to going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's Tony Dungy.